Meanwhile, in Morocco, the search for survivors continues following a devastating earthquake there. The death toll from a 6.8 magnitude quake that struck in the high Atlas Mountains last Friday is estimated to be nearly 3,000. It was the North African country's deadliest earthquake since 1960 and its most powerful in more than a century. Let's get you the latest now from Morocco. Imdaad Foundation trustee, Ziyaad Patel. Good morning. It's great to see you. And you're joining us from Morocco this morning. Give us a sense, Kari. It's now been a week exactly since this deadly earthquake struck that country. What have you seen since your time there?
Good morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes, the mood, the moment still seems to be very somber. People are still trying to adjust to what happened right here in Morocco. It has been the deadliest earthquake in 120 years. They were not prepared for it. You know, we ventured out into the Atlas Mountains in some of the very small little villages that have been cut off from mainstream society, interacting with people, trying to help and assist them, taking humanitarian aid. They are still somewhat in shock. That's the correct word. They are still somewhat in shock. And unfortunately, because the area is so rural and due to logistical issues and challenges, aid is literally trickling in at a very slow rate into some of these villages. And it's over a week and people are still waiting for help and assistance. So somewhat it's very negative. It's very somber moment for each and every one of them out there.
How is the country getting around the kinds of challenges that you've just outlined to us? Because obviously many of the roads would still be blocked even a week later.
Yes, so a thumbs up to the Moroccan authorities that the first thing they did do is they tried to open up these tributaries and these roads, which are literally the tributaries in bringing in aid, humanitarian aid into these areas. So most of these are now open. But I can assure you, when you move in this area, it is such rough terrain. It is dry, it is arid, it is mountainous, and it makes it extremely difficult, even on a normal day, besides the earthquake, to get through it to all of these villages. Now that most of these roads are now open, aid is somewhat trickling in, but unfortunately, sadly, it is still at a very slow rate. Reason being, so many hundreds of these small little villages and communities have been affected. We ventured out into many of these small little villages, seeing firsthand the devastation caused by this earthquake and seeing how communities right now are actually suffering. Most of them are opting to stay out in the elements of nature, that is the sky, during the evenings because of the tremors which are still shaking the area. In fact, just yesterday, there was a 4.8 tremor again, and this reached a lot of fear into the hearts of these people that have already been affected by this major disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. We're showing our viewers just some of the visuals coming to us from that country, and it paints such a picture of what you're describing this morning, Kari. Aid arriving in trickles, one might say, the devastation caused by this earthquake, the rubble, the piles of rubble, and that really is putting it mildly, that's making it so difficult for aid to get in, despite what you're saying about roads having been reopened. I suppose it leaves questions as well this morning, Kari, over why the country has decided to accept aid from only 4 other countries when there have been so many offers of help from around the world.
Yes, undoubtedly. I mean, we are an apolitical organization, not dealing in politics at all. We are purely humanitarian, so we only want to comment on the humanitarian nature. But unfortunately, it is a sad situation. We do hope, and yes, everyone out there is trying to reason with authorities to try and open up in a much larger way to help and assist the people in Morocco. Unfortunately, I would always say this, that an African disaster warrants an African response. Hence, Imdaad Foundation and the people of South Africa, we are doing our bit in helping and assisting our African brothers and sisters. We activated our offices, whether it may be in the UK, Jordan, everywhere, to come out here and help and assist the people of Morocco. It's been the worst disaster in 120 years, and unfortunately, Morocco has not been well prepared to deal with a disaster of this magnitude. It's unbelievable what magnitude of disaster this has been. It may only be 6.8 on Richter scale, but because so many hundreds of these small little villages in the Atlas Mountains have been affected, so many thousand more families are now homeless. And that's what makes this humanitarian issue so catastrophic.
Yeah. UN agencies can also be deployed, but it's deployed at the request of the affected country, right? Do you know at this stage whether that request has been made?
So all I can say to you is that as the days are going by, we are seeing much more improvements on the ground. More NGOs are coming through. And I'm rest assured and I'm quite hopeful that over the next few days, UN personnel will also be featuring on the ground, helping and assisting us. As remember, because these people are now moving towards the winter season. And the winter seasons in the Atlas Mountains are very rough, very harsh. So we're trying to prepare the local populace to deal with the winter, the upcoming winter. And of course, yes, from the Imdaad Foundation, from our side, we are making shelter a high priority. But we cannot do this alone. We need more help, we need more assistance, and we need, together, we can do so much more for those that have been affected.
Absolutely. At this stage, 1 week later, Kari, can we still talk at all? I mean, we've seen it happen previously with disasters where people are still pulled out of the rubble despite, what the numbers tell us, despite what the situation looked like, that there is always that hope for survivors. Do you think that hope is now fading?
The hope is diminishing. I mean, as the time ticks, the chances of finding survivors is more bleak. But I can say to you that in the month of February, when I was in Turkey, I was on site when a little girl was retrieved after 286 hours. We witnessed that. And after 286 hours, a 17-year-old girl was retrieved from the rubble. So there's always hope, and humans by nature, we will always have hope of survival. But remember, at times we also need to be realistic. We have to be realistic. As the hour ticks, the chances of survival are really bleak.
Yeah, heartbreaking story. This Kari Ziyaad Patel from the Imdaad Foundation doing incredible work in Morocco. Thanks very much for joining us this Friday morning.